we've got some brand new information to talk about in regards to Cyberpunk 2077, the sequel, Orion. Now, if you haven't watched my previous Orion video, go ahead and watch it in the description and pinned comment section below, where we talk about major details in regard to the game moving to Unreal Engine 5, the brand new lead studio on the game, and when the game is going to be developed. However, in this video, we've got some brand new information, so let's get started. So according to gamingbible.com, Cyberpunk 2077 sequel, third-person gameplay teased by CD Projekt. So they talk about how Cyberpunk was released in a broken state, but with the recent Phantom Liberty expansion and the 2.0 update, it's already overtaken Starfield's player count in recent weeks. There's also been major praise for this game, comparing it with Starfield, saying how much better and detailed it is compared to Starfield. However, now that the sequel to Cyberpunk is on a conceptual design level right now, the fact that a third-person mode has been flowing around the internet may be included in the sequel. The article reads, "It's no secret that Cyberpunk 2077 has been riding a high in recent weeks, but some fans are desperate for a third-person mode. Whilst this is possible with certain mods, it isn't something that CDPR ever regretted choosing. There are no regrets on our part," said Quest director Powell Sasko during a recent Investor Day presentation. "What we wanted was for Cyberpunk to have its own identity and to be noticeable as this different thing. These days, it's YouTube, Twitch, and screenshots that sell games, and this is the way one could use to show that identity and individuality to players." Sasko continued, "I wanted to say that the first-person perspective is the main characteristics for Cyberpunk and its perception by the players too. It's also noticeably different from The Witcher, and this helped us craft the product identity as such." The Witcher 3, CD Projekt Red's other project, is a third-person RPG, which led fans to believe that Cyberpunk 2077 would follow suit. Although that wasn't the case, the team hasn't ruled it out for Project Orion, saying we're yet to see. So it's definitely something that they're considering now they're at the conceptual design level right now with the second game. And also with Cyberpunk 2077, third-person cutscenes were actually promised. However, it seems like that was cut and didn't make it into the main game. I do really like how Bethesda Game Studios really does give you the option to choose between first and third person. However, it's their game engine that really makes that easier for them. But also with Rockstar Games, Red Dead 2 and GTA 5 also included a first-person mode. And now that Cyberpunk 2077 is out there, we're at the end of its life cycle, the identity for the game has been crafted. So I think a third-person mode for the sequel would be a great addition. I also think a first-person mode for the future Witcher titles would also be a great addition to that series too. It just provides that extra bit of choice for the player. And again, I really do praise Rockstar Games and Bethesda Game Studios for giving that option in their games. However, next up we've got this article from GamesRant that reads, "New Cyberpunk 2077 details are bad news for those fans waiting for a sequel." Cyberpunk developer CDPR is sharing some details about the upcoming sequel, but their timeline will likely leave fans very disappointed. During an Investor Day presentation, CD Projekt Red Chief Creative Officer Adam Badowski shared new details about the Cyberpunk 2077 sequel, currently referred to as Project Orion. Unfortunately for fans, however, it appears as though the game is still years away, as Badowski described it as being in the conceptual design stage at the moment. He also said that Phantom Liberty expansion will be the last add-on for the current game. So what this article is basically saying that we're going to be waiting a long time for the sequel, because development is actually going to be starting in 2024. However, I'm not too worried about this. We talked about this in the last video too. I want them to take as much time as they need with the sequel. I think Cyberpunk Edgerunners and the new update for Cyberpunk really show how great this universe is, and I don't really think anyone expected the next game to be coming anytime soon. However, the next article comes from PCGamer.com and it says, "I'm glad Cyberpunk 2077 is getting a sequel, but it really does deserve more expansions. V and Johnny need to have more adventures together." And straight off the bat, I do think that this game deserves more expansions, even smaller DLCs, maybe not on the scale of Phantom Liberty, but I would really like some incremental DLC updates. The article reads, "Before Cyberpunk 2077 arrived, CD Projekt promised Witcher 3 levels of post-launch support, which implied 2 meaty expansions and smaller bits of DLC, alongside the plans for a multiplayer mode. The disastrous launch scuppered all of that. Multiplayer was scrapped pretty quickly, but I can't say I lament that. It's a single-player RPG and that's what I want more of. But then came the announcement that Phantom Liberty would be Cyberpunk 2077's sole expansion, and now that I'm playing it, I'm really bummed. 2.0 and Phantom Liberty will be the last major updates, and the studio is now moving on, and I'm not ready to join it. The article then goes on to explain how CDPR hasn't lost its touch. He says how incredible the Phantom Liberty DLC is, how many great moments there are between V and Johnny, how many amazing new quests there are, the brand new DLC map, and how great of a comeback this is for Cyberpunk. He says it's in a good position to be iterated on. Then, just as Hello Games did once it figured out what to do with No Man's Sky, it's had 6 years of expansions, transforming it into one of the best sandboxes around. Just think of Cyberpunk 2077 could be like in a few years time if it wasn't being given the heave-ho. I'd be happy with some DLC that simply added more side jobs and gigs, because those smaller stories rank among the best the RPG has to offer, but the Cyberpunk setting is so rich that I have no doubt that the team could come up with something much more significant and even experimental. Geralt got a vineyard, so maybe V should have been given a chop shop or a gang to run. And CDPR wants to move on because it's also bidding well to its RedEngine, jumping over to Unreal Engine 5 for its next games, but nothing is ever going to make me care about what engine a game is using. I just want more great quests, more shootouts, and more time spent with V and Johnny, which RedEngine is more than capable of giving me. I definitely agree with Fraser Brown, and I understand his frustrations, and I definitely agree with them giving us more DLC for this game. Cyberpunk 2077 is so popular right now. It's even been given a live action adaptation, and the anime Edrunners was so very successful too. Even some smaller paid expansions would be great for this game, and it's also a great way for CDPR to make a couple more dollars on this game. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think they're moving on way too quickly from Cyberpunk 2077? And it's crazy to think that at launch, I don't think anyone expected this game to get this great at any point in time. Even when the game came out and it got all those bad reviews, I thought, you know what, they probably scrapped this entire franchise. So I'm so glad that Cyberpunk is in the position it is in today, but it does look definite that we're not getting anything new with this game. So enjoy Cyberpunk 2077 for what it is today, and look forward to the sequel, Project Orion. But CDPR did blame something for the lack of DLC for Cyberpunk 2077. With this article from thegamer.com, it reads, CDPR blames lack of Cyberpunk 2077 DLC on move to Unreal. CDPR is eager to move on from the RedEngine, explaining why Phantom Liberty is the only Cyberpunk 2077 DLC. Phantom Liberty will be Cyberpunk 2077 first and last DLC when it launches on September 26, before CDPR shifts its focus to other projects, including the next Witcher game. According to SVP of Business Development Michael Nowakowski, this decision was made because the team is done with its in-house RedEngine. It's a technological decision, to be honest, Nowakowski said in a Q&A session as reported by VGC. This is the last time we're working on the RedEngine for the time being at least, and in the foreseeable future, as you know, we are working on the Unreal Engine from Epic. This was one of the key reasons why we decided this was the only one. So already it's very interesting that he says for the time being at least. It's kind of a never say never situation. Maybe after a couple of years they're like, we don't want to really work on Unreal Engine, we don't really like this transition, so let's go back to RedEngine for the 5th or 6th Witcher game. RedEngine was developed following the infamous cancelled White Wolf console port of the first Witcher game. It was designed to make it easier to port The Witcher 2 and its sequel to PlayStation and Xbox. After all, White Wolf had nearly bankrupted the company due to a costly and lengthy development, as well as demands from Atari to repay it for its parts in funding the port, seeing as it never released. Over the years, new iterations took shape, such as Cyberpunk 2077's RedEngine 4, which now supports ray tracing, but after partnering with Epic Games, CDPR retired RedEngine in favor of Unreal. This is an exciting moment as we're moving from RedEngine to Unreal Engine 5, beginning a multi-year strategic partnership with Epic Games. CDPR announced in a blog post last March, it covers not only licensing but technical development of Unreal Engine 5, as well as potential future versions of Unreal Engine where relevant. We will closely collaborate with Epic Games developers, with the primary goal being able to help tailor the engine for open world experiences. Now I'm sure they've got this partnership arrangement with a lot of their developers that they work with, but it's nice to hear that CD Projekt Red are also going to be helping tailor the engine for open world experiences as they create the next Witcher and Cyberpunk games. But let me know in the comment section below what you think of Cyberpunk 2077 sequel. Do you want it to have a third person mode? I really do. Are you going to miss the RedEngine? And do you think V and Johnny will return for the sequel of Cyberpunk? I always thought that it would be cool to go back in time and go all the way back to Cyberpunk 2020. But I wouldn't really want that to be the sequel of Cyberpunk 2077. I would rather that be like a spin-off title. But guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to watch the last Cyberpunk Orion video, which if you enjoyed this one, I highly recommend you watching that one first, because we go over some great details and news of the second game. And we also have major updates on Starfield, the Star Wars games coming up, Ghost Recon, The Last of Us, and so much more. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Peace out, God bless. Go ahead and watch my other videos, and I'll see you on my next videos. Take care, guys.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind.